All right. Well, thank you guys. I've got a lot of people joining in, so thank you guys for tuning in to today's presentation. I'm Colin Lowenberg. I'm a product marketing manager at Sumo Logic. I've spent my entire career focused on APIs and Wi-Fi and networking. I used to work at Cisco, and I joined Sumo Logic in the middle of the pandemic, actually. And I've been skilling up and learning quite a bit about Sumo Logic's solution. If you're not familiar with Sumo Logic, we have a cloud-based analytics platform that's very scalable, and we have over 3,000 customers today, and those customers perform over 30 million searches on their on all sorts of data. So we're going to be talking about those types of data today: traces, metrics, and logs. Over 150 petabytes of data are stored in Sumo Logic's cloud, and over 500 trillion records are queried every day. Sumo is a company that recently IPO'd, so I can't talk too much. We're in a quiet period right now, but I'm just very proud of working for Sumo Logic. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about troubleshooting and observability. So Sumo Logic is a platform for doing more than storing logs, metrics, events, and traces, but actually for monitoring, diagnosing, and troubleshooting applications in the cloud. So the use cases for storing all that information is to then bring all of that information together into one scalable platform that you can view all of your application as well as troubleshoot issues. So in today's presentation, I'm actually going to do a demo of a live application that we built just for this demo. And so we're going to walk through an example troubleshooting process as if I was the on-call engineer. And we're going to walk through from alert to on a service level objective to explore some metrics to help diagnose the problem. We're going to look at traces to identify what services are being impacted. And finally, we're going to look at our logs and confirm the root cause. So it's a relatively normal process. If you've ever been the on-call engineer, or you've ever had to do a troubleshooting call, maybe when you get woken up at 3 a.m. and this is that process. I've myself had to do that in my past. I've been in IT for 15 years. So this is very near and dear to me. And I think you'll be impressed how quickly we can get through this presentation. At the end, I'll pause for questions and answer any of your questions, or go back and show you any parts that you want to see again. Before we get started on the live demo, I want to talk about the application that we've built for this demo. So this application runs on Kubernetes and AWS. We have a payment service that talks to a Kubernetes deployment running on AWS. And that talks to an account service, and that account service talks to an RDS database. So this is a critical application for my business. It's a banking application, and it handles payments every day. So I'm going to jump over to my email. So if you were, say, monitoring your email, using email, you might use PagerDuty. We also have an integration with PagerDuty. So you might get a notification via email saying, hey, there's a critical alert on a service level objective, or SLO. And I can look in my email here. I can see I've got a query that's running, and it says, hey, there's more than 5% errors in the last 10 minutes. So our service level objective has been breached. So I get a lot of information in this email, but I want to actually click on that link right there. And when I click on that link, it's going to take me right over to the Sumo Logic dashboard. Now, it'll jump me right into the payment service SLO dashboard. And in this page, I can see immediately all of my errors. I can see error rate outliers as well. So this is the rate of errors. And I can see I'm having a 30% error rate. As well, I can see if it goes above the threshold, I'll get an outlier on this graph that'll tell me that it's outside of a threshold. So it's automatically rebaselining and creating a threshold to trigger this alert again based on the past history. So we automatically detect, when something goes beyond the normal threshold. Now, in this case, I see there's quite a bit of errors. I'm above that SLO in the last 35 minutes. I can also change this dashboard. I can go back, look back further in time. Another thing that you would probably look at when you're troubleshooting an issue is how severe is the issue? So how do I measure the severity? Well, first of all, how is it affecting my customers? So right here, I can see the customers impacted on this dashboard. I can see, I'm affecting these customers. Now I can reach out to my support team, maybe proactively contact the customers, let them know that there's an issue. But as the on-call engineer, my goal is to get them up and working and resolve the issue. Now, I also want to look at the severity in terms of how it affects my business. So, you get that little bit of business intelligence flair right here. We've actually calculated the transaction volume and the dollars transferred. This is all just looking at the log data and metrics data. So we can actually pull this information out and build a BI style dashboard right here. And I can see my transaction volume drop from hundreds to just under 10 transactions per minute, as well as my dollars transferred per minute went from 36,000 to under $2,000 per minute. So I've got a significant business impact right here. Now, the next step in troubleshooting would probably be to isolate the issue. You want to find out, hey, how is this affecting my environment, and where is the issue? How can I get to that? How can I solve this problem by getting it down to a smaller issue? So to drill down into a smaller area, I would look at it by infrastructure. And so I can see the error rate by pod. So each of these pods represents the payment service, which is running on Kubernetes. Now, in this case, I can click on any pod. You can see the red ones have a higher error rate than the green and the yellow ones. So I'm just click on one of those. And on the right now, I can see a summary. I can jump right into the logs for that pod. Now, I don't know that the logs for that pod are going to give me the root cause. And so I actually want to go look at the entire deployment. The reason why is I see a lot of pods. It's not just a single pod that's having an issue. So I actually want to go to the entire deployment. As you can see on the right under infrastructure, I can see the CPU usage, memory, and I can also see the environment and the deployment. So I actually want to look at the entire deployment. And we have an entity dashboard specific to that deployment. So if I click under troubleshooting links, click entity dashboard, pulls me to this nice little dashboard right here. And it will load up all of my errors and pods across all of my dashboards, across all of my pods, sorry. And I can see here connection errors. I'm actually not in the red, so that's not too bad. Right now, the connection errors in the last 30 minutes or last minute has actually gone down from the red to the yellow. So these metrics are actually being based on the DORA metrics and based on industry standards, but you can edit what your red, yellow, green is very quickly and easily. So I can see here, I've got a lot of connection errors. You can see some pods are offline, but that's okay. That's just how Kubernetes works. And right here, I can see connection errors right here, the description, connection refused. And it's a connection refused from this payment service pod to the account service. And on the right, I can also see that same bar chart displaying a nice big red bar, nice signal for me out of the noise. Now I can see on the right, I can jump right into the logs for this pod or for this account service. However, I know from experience working with multiple services connecting that the best way to dive into troubleshooting two services talking to each other is not going to be looking at the logs. The best way is actually traces. Traces, if you're not familiar, are a way to look at the timing and the connection between different services and different parts of your application. So a trace will go through every single step in your application, and it will give you a very detailed list of all the actions that have been taken by your application. And it's relatively common now for any applications in the cloud and any modern applications to have tracing built into the framework of the application. So we can actually collect all your tracing information as well as the logs and metrics and pull it into this single dashboard. So it crosses all of your services into one single trace. So I can actually see all of my traces on this screen right here. This is a list of every step that's happening in every transaction on my payment service. Now I can filter it further. I can go and say I only want to look for traces that have a number of errors over 5. Still, there's a lot of traces with errors over 5. I could also filter it to, it's already showing those with accounts and payment service in them. So I'm just going to click one of these, hoping that, they all have similar issues. So I click on this trace, and now it takes me to the span view. So this trace view shows each one of these spans. A span is a bar displayed on the screen here, and it's a time-based graph. So you can see at the very top 15 seconds and 30 seconds. So the longer the span on the screen, the longer time it's taking. Also, you can see all of them have a red bar on top because they're all having errors. And I can see right here the payment service is making a call to the account service. I can even see it's an HTTP GET call to the account service. Now it's switching over to the account service, and there's some code right here. I don't understand what find by ID. It's doing some find by account ID probably. I don't really know enough about like the details of my application to know what that's telling me. So I need to start looking into the logs. Like I've gotten to the point where I've narrowed it down. I've isolated the issue to the specific transaction in the code. And I know that there's an issue causing a connection refused error, but I don't know what's causing that connection refused. So I'm going to go to the infrastructure tab and I'm going to look at the logs for this account service. Now I'm looking at a specific container now. I don't need to look at the whole deployment. I'm just looking for the issue for this one container. Take a sip of water while the logs load. Oh, well, it loaded faster than I could drink my water. So I can see here, there's a lot of errors. In fact, there's 51 pages of logs here. It's a lot of log data that we're collecting, even just for this one container. I can just pick a random error message in here, and that might help. But what we've developed at Sumo Logic is a machine learning algorithm called log reduce. I like to call it the easy button. If you click log reduce on a log page, it will automatically filter and sort all of your logs by pattern. So it'll do pattern matching to identify what logs are essentially repeats of the same thing. And I can see the count of those logs. And I can see right here at the very top, I see error, error, error. And I see one right here that says that, let's see here. This one actually says right down here, I can see error with root cause. See that nice little root cause? It shows a connection is not available, request timed out. So I want to get a little more information on this one. I'm going to click on the expand button for it. And I can see, unable to acquire JDBC connection with root cause. So, it's just saying connection timed out. Let's see if there's any other ones in here. All I know is that there's too many connections on here. It's not giving me, it's not telling me my root cause, but it's telling me that I need to look at my database because the JDBC connection is failing to the database. So I know something is wrong with my database, and I see all these SQL errors. So now I can tell, okay, my payment service is getting refused to connect to the account service, and the account service is saying I can't connect to my database. It's getting its own errors from the RDS database. And I essentially know there's too many connections probably, but we don't know for fact what our root cause is now. It's vague enough. I know what I could do to fix this, right? I could increase the number of connections. I could increase the memory on the SQL server. Maybe that should solve the problem, get my customers back online. But it's not the real root cause behind my issue, right? It's just telling me that I have an issue with my database. So how would I find the actual true root cause of this problem? So we've developed a new feature called the Root Cause Explorer. And the Root Cause Explorer essentially takes metrics from CloudTrail and CloudWatch analytics on AWS and pulls it into a new view, which graphs out these bubbles. And essentially it bubbles up issues in your metrics. So any metric that drifts over time will be displayed on this graph. And I can see Lambda errors right here. I can see some Lambda load errors down here. And those are drifting about 600% over 10 minutes, 200%. But right at the top, I see very clear Lambda latency errors. Let me actually go and pull up the Root Cause Explorer for the entity that I want. Let me see. 1 second. I need to close that one. Sorry. Apologies. 1 second. So I actually want to change to my AWS Observability view. So the root cause explorer is part of our AWS Observability solution. And I want to go look at that SQL server. So I'm going to go into my mobile banking production, and I'm going to go to my US East and my RDS databases and my SQL one. So I can browse through this tree on the left. All of my AWS servers and applications and services are brought into this AWS observability solution. And now on this dashboard, I can see an overview of my entire AWS deployment, but I can also go to this events of interest to pull out my root cause explorer. And on this page, I can now see my MySQL server, and let me pull up the last 24 hours. Oops. Oh, well, I actually don't see my alerts coming in. Let me see if I can get this to work. Apologies. One second. Let me troubleshoot real quick. So I want to look at just my SQL server right here, and I want to look across all of my namespaces, and I can see these Lambda errors on here. I'm going to go back a little bit further, just because I think my data is not coming in this. And I'm going to go to my previous week. My application is not broken right now. So I'm scaling back in my root cause explorer to look back in time, because I don't see my issue coming up right now in my last day. So I'm actually just looking into the past for previous demos of this to see if I can see the same error in the past. And it's loading quite a bit of data. So it's pulling in metrics across the entire month. So it's pulling in quite a bit of data into the root cause explorer. And the root cause explorer should show me an issue with my RDS database. So I'm looking for that issue right now. Here we go. So I apologize for not having my RDS issue today, but it looks like in the last, on 10/26, I had the same issue, and I can see that RDS load issue. So my RDS server is actually overloaded, and I can understand now why my account service is saying, "Hey, I can't reach my RDS database. I'm getting errors connecting to the database." So this can give me an actual root cause. My RDS server is overloaded. However, now I want to know why that RDS server is overloaded. Now, in this case, I know what I can do to fix it. I can increase the memory and processor power on the RDS instances, and I can increase the number of connections. So I could improve my RDS servers to provide better service to the account service. However, that doesn't tell me what's causing this load on the RDS service. So what I actually want to do is I want to look at the logs for my RDS database. And now you see we've gone through our metrics, we've gone through our traces, and now we're looking at the logs for the RDS database. And now as we look here, immediately we see there's 16 pages of logs on this one instance of the RDS. And I can see what's going on right here. I see slow queries, and I can do log reduce, but it's going to tell me the same thing. I've got slow queries happening very frequently on this server. And so now I can actually see what those queries are as well. So I can take those queries, I can go to my dev team, I can say, "Hey guys, my SQL queries are running slow. Can we take a look at these? Maybe optimize the queries, maybe optimize the tables, because this is an issue that's causing our transactions to come to a halt. It's causing our dollars to come to a halt, and it's affecting our customers." So we know this is a severe issue. We know that we can fix it by increasing the processor and memory on our RDS database, but the true root cause is some slow queries on that RDS in that account service. So now I've got a root cause, I've got a proposed solution. However, maybe my developers aren't ready to go fix this overnight, right? They're not ready to say, oh, yeah, we can fix this right now. That problem is not going to go away. It's going to happen again, right? So as the backend engineer or the SRE, I need to make sure I can detect when this issue is happening again so I can prevent it, right? So I can do something beyond what my development team can do. I can go in and I can set a predictive alert. So I'm actually going to set up an alert right now and predict when this issue will occur again. So I can go in here and I can click edit in my alerts page, and I can create an alert that will detect whenever these slow queries happen. A sec. So when a slow query happens, it will match this search. This is the same search that we used in that logged view. So I just copy paste that log search in here. And then I say, if the percentage is over 5, then I want to alert. And I only do it when I have, when the row count is, let's say 5 in 10 minutes. So if we get 5 slow queries in 10 minutes, I want to send an email to myself. Let's add myself on here, Colin at sumologic.com. And now I'm going to get an email whenever this payment service SLO has been breached. Actually, sorry, this is the wrong one. Let me go back. Actually, I'm so sorry. I want to do predict slow query time. So this is the original SLO error that started my email, but I want to actually prevent that SLO from ever being breached. So I'm going to set up a predictive alert, and I'm going to paste this in here and say anytime the query shows a number in the last hour of slow queries. So if there's 10 in the last 5 minutes, I want to get an alert to my email, Colin at sumologic.com. Tell me, hey, I predict that the slow queries are going to cause the database capacity to be reached. This is going to cause the account service to stop connecting to the database, which is going to cause the payment service to start getting connection refused errors, which is going to affect customers. So I can predict what's going to happen and prevent it and jump in advance. So before it hits the SLO, I'm going to prevent it. So now what we've done today is we've gone from a payment service SLO, and we've gone from that error that we have set up here to preventing that error from happening by using a predictive query. And we've gone through both our entity dashboards to see breakdown of our Kubernetes deployment, as well as our AWS view of our entire AWS deployment. We've gone through our metrics as well and through our traces. So we've gone through traces to identify the timing between the payment and account service. And we've gone through our root cause explorer to look at all of our metrics bubbling up to see what metrics are drifting over time to highlight what services are being impacted and where the true root cause might actually be. And then we drilled down to the exact error that we needed to find and the exact queries that we needed to find so that we can tell our development team how to fix it. So this is what you can do when you have a heavy lifting Sumo Logic platform behind you so that you can do this troubleshooting very quickly and on the fly. And I'm glad that I was able to demo this to you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to share your questions. Let's pause here for any Q&A. I'm going to leave the root cause explorer open as that's the most interesting page. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's see if you guys have any questions. There's one in Q&A. We've got a question in Q&A. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second so I can see it. How do I see the Q&A? how do you get those pretty alert emails? Mine look like plain text HTML. So I'll show you how to get the pretty emails. You may just want to, in here you can see it's got this nice, let me go ahead and share my screen. So in here, you can see I've got this nice, pretty Sumo Logic email. You can also do, PagerDuty or some other emails. Let me pull up my Sumo Logic dashboard. Go to the alerts tab. And in the alerts, I'm doing to create, you might want to just try creating a new alert because we may have added the context and feature in there after. So if you select the type of trigger, that's what sets the color of the email right there. And then you can also set these check marks at the bottom. So if you do alert and recovery, that'll add to that email format. So you might just want to recreate your alert from scratch because when we release a new feature, we typically don't try to break any previous features. So I would suggest just creating a new alert. And if that doesn't work, certainly try calling support. But I know for a fact that when I create a new alert, it always has that format in here. All right. Thank you guys for joining. We can wrap. I appreciate you guys joining in. Thank you guys for staying on. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a nice day.